Thank you very much, Zakela, and thank you very much, Nkonki, for the opportunity today. And let me say that it might cost $32, but I don't get a cent of that, neither does Mervyn. All the royalties have been donated to the International Integrated Reporting Council to promote integrated reporting around the world. So last month I traveled to the US to present at Bentley University in Boston. Now they were having a one-day symposium on integrated reporting. The reason that I made the 16-hour flight from Joburg to NYC, traveling economy class, which I can tell you is just human cruelty, is that for the Americans to be interested in integrated reporting is a huge step forward for the global move to better corporate reporting. So my takeout from my day with the Americans, apart from picking up a bit of American slang there, is that there are indeed pockets of interest in integrated reporting in America, especially among investors, and that's really surprising. Notwithstanding that, there are only 7 companies in America that actually officially put out an integrated report. A lot, though, have integrated information in their old-style annual reports. But what was really surprising from my trip to the States is their awe for us in South Africa. Not for politics, not for corruption, and the Oscar Pistorius trial, I can tell you, is not doing us any favors at all. Their awe for us was in the area of integrated reporting. The Americans and the other international delegates at the symposium were impressed that our listed companies have to do an integrated report on an apply or explain basis, and they've been doing that for the past 4 years. That our largest SOCs have been putting out high-quality integrated reports for the past 4 years. They were impressed when I said that small organizations like the one that I work for, SAICA and URBA, also put out integrated reports. They were impressed when I said that the biggest growth area in integrated reporting in South Africa is in the public sector. And I too am thoroughly impressed and proud that there is growing interest in the public sector in integrated reporting as a mark of better reporting to taxpayers, good governance, and just a better way of managing your capital resources and your operations. So on last Friday evening, I interviewed on Business Day Television, and I wear a number of different hats, often have a little bit of identity crisis here. So I interviewed the 2 credit rating analysts from Fitch and Standard & Poor's. And as you recall, Fitch downgraded South Africa's sovereign outlook from stable to negative. And Standard & Poor's downgraded South Africa by 1 notch. We're just above junk status now. In among the many concerns that they had about our country, slowing GDP growth, rising public debt, and the need for better service delivery, they expressed concerns about governance and corruption. So it is indeed pleasing to see that this year in the annual Nkonki SOC Awards that there has been an improvement in the number of SOCs with higher governance scores. So well done on that. And similarly, an improvement in the quality of your integrated reports. What I can tell you is that you are the front runners of integrated reporting in the public sector, not only in South Africa, but in the world. At an international meeting of the working group of the International Integrated Reporting Council in London last year, the aspect of integrated reporting in the public sector was raised as an agenda item for the very first time. Now, the chairman of the meeting, Ian Ball, he is a past chairman of IFAC. He's also the current chairman of the International Public Sector Accounting Standards Board, always a mouthful that, noted that the public sector makes up 40% of the global GDP. So all the working group members were thoroughly gobsmacked at that. Because if you can get the public sector to have better reporting, better management, and better awareness of the different sources of capital that they use in effect, Just think of the difference that we can all make to the world that our children inherit and that their children inherit once all of us have passed on. So, with that thought in mind, the IRC has a strategic objective this year to encourage and promote integrated reporting in the public sector. This is the reason that the IRC last month called for interested parties to join their new international public sector program to participate in taking the movement forward and in applying the new framework to the public sector. Now, as you know, the IRC released its international integrated reporting framework in December last year. While it is primarily aimed at the private sector, it can be easily adapted for the public sector. And that framework carries impressive weight. The IIRC, as you know, is the foremost international body of integrated reporting. Its members are the who's who, it really is. They're the leading regulators and standard setters in the world. They include IFAC, an ISB, IAASB, stock exchanges organizations, and many, many other august bodies, and equally important acronyms. So bringing it back home, in South Africa, we have the Integrated Reporting Committee. Now that issues local voluntary IR guidance, and in March this year, we officially endorsed the international framework as guidance on how to prepare an integrated report. The IRC works closely with the King Committee, and we most recently assisted them on the King 3 practice note on the integrated report, which came out last Friday. That practice note set out the differences between King 3 and the international framework. And what we said that the different purposes are is that King 3 is the what of integrated reporting, while the framework is the how-to. The framework is how you actually do an integrated report. But saying that, we recognize in the practice note that there is flexibility, and that is given by Section 1E of the framework. So Section 1E allows you to address your integrated report to all stakeholders if you want to do that. Just use Section 1E. If you want to do a long report as opposed to a short report, just use Section 1E. So the advent of the international framework and the subsequent endorsement by the IRC now offers certainty for South African companies. So you can simply focus on applying the international framework, but with due consideration to King 3 principles and the King 3 practice note. And I hope that solves a challenge for companies that has been raised by the uncertainty over which guidance to actually be using. So I don't want to be one of those speakers who drone on and on just before lunch, and more importantly, just before the winners are announced. So I'm going to, the last part of my speech is to share with you my 5 best tips for a quality integrated report. So, number 1, please don't see the integrated report as just another blooming compliance thing. This is your chance to make a difference to external reporting, to tell the real story of your organization, to put the financial figures in the context of the resources and relationships that are important to you now and in the future. I think the 21st century can be called the era of connectivity. Your organization is a matrix of different connections. Your integrated report should show all of those important connections. Tip number 2 is view these important resources and relationships as a story of cause and effect. So a story of cause and effect. If you waste natural resources and you destroy wetlands now, what effect will there be on water in the future? And importantly, what effect will it have on you and your business? One of the many beauties, I think, of the final international framework is that it categorizes resources and relationships into 6 different capitals. That is useful because it serves as a completeness check, so you can look and see that you've actually covered all the important resources and relationships. But more importantly, it starts to get people thinking about the value of all the other capitals that they commonly use in effect, apart from the usual standard one that we know as accountants, which is, of course, financial capital. Tip number 3 is be brave enough to disclose both your good and your poor performance. Your report will have so much more credibility if it is a balanced report, if it gives the good and the bad. I think it's pretty pervasive today, the lack of trust in the world. There's a lack of trust between stakeholders and companies, between taxpayers and their governments around the world, between Gauteng drivers and e-tolls. Now, one of the beauties of, and I hope Sanral isn't here. So one of the beauties of integrated reporting is that it promotes transparency. If you have good and bad in your report, you are being transparent. And the surefire way to increase trust with your stakeholders is by being transparent. Tip number 4, make your report a concise one, please, if you can. Just think about it. We are all busy people. So would you prefer me to give a brief talk that points you to, that has the most important stuff and points you to where you can get more information, or would you prefer a long, boring, detailed drone of information? The former, I think. So on the point of different information, I do want to point you to our website, sustainabilitysa.org. It is the official page for the IRC, and we have all the latest integrated reporting information there. For international information on integrated reporting, take a look at the irc.org. That's IRC's website. And of course, there are a few books around on integrated reporting, and I promise you that in the next book that Mervyn King and I write, we will include a chapter on integrated reporting in the public sector because it's that important. And finally, tip number 5. Consider your integrated report as the outcome of integrated thinking in your organization. It's one of the great things about doing integrated reporting is that it pushes integrated thinking throughout your business. It promotes it. The integrated thinking is where management considers its use and effects on different forms of capital in its decision-making on a daily basis as well as a strategic basis. It's where all these different departments work together to achieve the same organizational strategic goals. It's where there is an underlying knowledge that we are all connected and we are inextricably linked to our natural environment. That the world really is one for all and all for one, which pretty much sums up an organization's value creation and its integrated report. So on that note, thank you very much for allowing me to share my thoughts today, and congratulations to the winners, and keep up the good work.